researcher Ron Moorhead, a successful businessman from California, and this is his book, Voices in the Wilderness. Ron has been studying the Bigfoot Sasquatch phenomenon for 4 decades in California and has recorded what may be the finest sounds of Bigfoot that have ever been recorded. So Ron, what made you start on this?
They started with us, actually, a hunting group I was involved with, 8 miles in the wilderness, the closest place you could drive to. And they actually came into our camp, and at first we didn't know what we were dealing with. Didn't know for quite some time, but they were vocalizing and making some very aggressive sounds to start with. But then after a while, after several more trips in and after a couple more years, they started taming their vocalizations down to, we think, something that they thought we could understand. We've had studies done on these through the University of Wyoming to show that the tapes have not been manipulated in any fashion. And we've also had cryptolinguists study these sounds in 2008 and discovered a language, a complex language within those sounds. So these things are sentient, which we kind of knew they were talking amongst themselves, but then they were interacting with us too. Why? We don't know why. Other than we did not threaten them, we didn't shoot at them with our guns, which we had, and they didn't scare us off to start with. So that's what got us started, and we started taking tape recorders in and recording their vocalizations, had them studied, and that's how I got started.
And you yourself have had 1 sighting, and your daughter has had 3.
Correct, yes. Others in the group, there's 6 hunters altogether. I was one. And we've all had glimpses of them, and some are pretty good sightings. I've not had a real close sighting, just seen them moving around between the trees at dusk. The one my daughter seen a few years back was very bold, right out, just not far from her. So, yes, we've seen them. And they've been spotted within our area of a 20, 30-mile radius quite frequently, actually, by other people that reported unbeknownst to them that we were studying them at our camp.
Okay, and being 2013, there's always been an ongoing debate as to what these beings are. Are they apes? Are they men? But the latest work by Dr. Melba Ketchen, DNA researcher who's been studying this for 5 years, seems to indicate that they are indeed a human relative. Could you elaborate on that?
As much as I can. Melba Ketchum does a forensic analysis of some samples that she's received over the years, and her analysis suggests, not suggests, but determined that mitochondrial DNA, which is the female maternal side of the DNA, is 100% human, which gives them their cognizy, I think. But the other half, the nuclear DNA, has not been pinned down. It's incredible, but it's from something that she is not able to research us from any known species that exists now on this earth, which makes an enigma about the whole thing even more complex.
Yeah.
Not knowing what they are is something we just don't know yet. We don't know what they are.
Well, what do you think that the general public and officials ridicule people who are Bigfoot Sasquatch investigators?
You know, that used to be a lot. And it seems like the media still does it today, but I think more and more people are seeing these things, more and more people are coming out of the closet and saying they've seen these things. And there's also the cartoonish sound of Bigfoot, and I think that probably has something to do with why they are treated like the other enigmas we don't understand. It's just something we don't understand, and a lot of people think that we know everything there is to know about what exists on this earth, the species that exist, but we don't know. And this is just a fine example of that. But a lot more people are coming forth now and claiming they've seen these things. I know I've seen it, I know they exist, and so that's what my challenge is in this life, is to find out what they were trying to tell me in the interaction and go from there.
And so some people who research certain topics get so wound up in them, and in a lot of cases financially wound up, that they have to be very defensive of their position. But in your case, as a successful businessman. You do this because you have a passion for it, and you don't, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you don't feel like you have to continue pursuing it for any other reason than pure investigation.
I don't try to convince people that these things exist. I don't, because if it has language, and it does, they have to exist. So my goal isn't to try to convince people as much as it is to try to let people know that they need to learn more about something that does exist and learn how to communicate with another species that is on this earth with us now. They are giants, they're huge, they're 8, 10 foot tall, some say they're even bigger, and these things are out there. And I think some of them perhaps want us to know about them. Maybe they have an attribute, in fact I'm quite sure they have an attribute that we just don't understand in our little three-dimensional world. They think that we think we know more, and I'm not sure we do.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Ron.
Thank you, Brian.